Okay, so to remain roughly on time on the schedule, let's continue with the next talk by Renato Stalder as Matrix as enabler for the SwissPost nationwide ePost communication system. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon to everybody. First of all, thanks for being here. Second, I expect my picture on the screen. I'm representing today the SwissPost, and the SwissPost is quite an old organization. I don't want to go into history too much, but we were founded in 1849, so we celebrate 175 years this year. Why do we still exist? We still exist because we try also to innovate. I give you one example. In 1906, we were the first organization introducing a postal car. So before we just had horses, and our task was very simple: move people, of course in Switzerland, move money, and move information in the letter, in the envelope, and don't look inside. That was the main promise of the SwissPost at that time, like in many other countries. In 1906, we introduced the first postal car, and as you know, Switzerland is organized in cantons, and there was one canton, he was so angry that he said, okay, we cannot be against because it's federal law, but they introduced a speed limit of 5 kilometers an hour for the postal car. They don't want them to be faster than horses. One of the flagship products that gives a lot of trust to our organization is the very special, unique voting system you know from Switzerland. So as a citizen we are called 4 to 5 times a year to vote on different topics. Do you want nuclear plants? Yes or no? Do you want to buy fighter jets? Yes or no? Do you want to allow same-sex marriage? Yes or no? Whatever is the topic, you have to go to a voting. And since some years, this is also possible in an electronic form. So you get asked the question, you take your mobile, you give the answer, and now you can imagine it's very, very important that security is at a very high level. Otherwise, if people would not trust the results, this would be a threat to the whole democracy. So this is one of the flagship products, and this was also the start when our government said, well, we need a nationwide communication platform that is called ePost, and it's not for the post itself, but it's for every citizen, every person living within Switzerland or outside Switzerland if he has a Swiss passport. But what was the reason to do that? The reason was that even the parliament realized that letters are going down. And yes, they go down since the year 2000. So before, communication was growing similar to the GDP. But in 2000, something happens. We all turned to digital communication. And our company especially lost a lot of revenue because nobody's sending letters. And just for the love letters that are full of perfume, you will not survive as a big organization. So where is the communication going to? Well, you all know the B2B communication is very much dominated, especially in our country, in this cultural area, by Microsoft, especially by the product teams, where they really have a strong position. If we go down to the more informal communication, when I send back, hey honey, I'm late tonight, it's more the Meta group that is really in a strong position. I know we don't like to hear that, but it's a matter of fact that WhatsApp is still the number one messenger. So we had to position ourselves in a way that we could convince also the ones who founded us, and we say, okay, there is a lack in the B2C communication. Who organizes it? Government to citizen or business to consumer? And that's where we positioned this system called ePost. Okay, the very beginning was, let's bring together people, organization, cantons, especially this one who was with the 5 kilometers an hour is down there, banks, insurance companies, whatever. Bring them all together on a one but distributed platform to allow them a secure communication, and let's put that as a national infrastructure given to the economy and given also to the people that they can jump in a secure digital communication environment. That was the main goal in 2020, and we started with the component for companies, I come to that later, but also with the component for the citizen, and there the approach was first we bring them into an app. So we faced a lot of challenges because at the very beginning, the large corporates, they said, oh, no, we don't need that. We have our portals. We already have like chat solutions integrated in our e-banking system. We are not waiting on you. We have one strong argument. We say, okay, this is not focused on your consumer. Your customer will end up in having 10 portals. I always draw the picture of a NASA control center where I have 20 screens. Here I manage my insurance stuff, here my banking stuff, here my government stuff, and so on. And we said, okay, let's refocus on the end user. He should have one single point where he can do most of the stuff. And of course, we had a mobile-first approach. And in Switzerland, we have a unique situation that almost half of the people, they have a so-called Swiss ID, which is it's just an identity. And it makes, let's say, dealing with that stuff much simpler because you know who that person is, and they can share information if they want, or they can also hide it if they want. So we try to answer the doubts of the corporates by letting them brand all their stuff. Which means that before, when you had, let's say, an envelope, it was, at the beginning, it was branded, they had their logo, their colors, whatever, and we said, okay, let's do a similar thing. We call that branded folder. We give them a space in the citizens' ePost app that is in the look and feel of that corporate, because we realized that for them it's very important to have their bells and whistles all around. So I will come to that also a little bit later. Second, we gave them a space where they can do whatever they want, because there is a set of APIs available where they can connect their backend systems, whatever it is. But one really important component is that we have we call it Citizens app, that everybody can download. It's totally free, of course. It's part of the Service Public in Switzerland, and whoever wants, can use it. Then we made a big mistake in 21. And the mistake was that we were so much focused on the history of the post that we were thinking in a first step about letters. But I told you that nobody is writing any letter anymore. So we said, okay, we need to digitize the letter. That was a big mistake, by the way. I would not do it again. I would do it the other way around, but it's a fact. So we said, okay, you as senders, even if you're small, medium, or large, you can put whatever you want, let's say an invoice, for example, into this communication platform, and this one will then find the best way to reach your customer. It will check, does it has a digital mailbox? Yes. If yes, it's delivered here. If he has an e-banking, we have a special standard in Switzerland called e-bill. You can directly send a bill to an e-banking, and I get in my banking app and say yes or no. Or if all these digital channels fail, we would at the end print it, put it in a physical envelope, and send it to the physical mailbox of the end user. And now you understand, for the politics, this was a good story because it's all about inclusion. You can say whoever is more digital, you can reach him or her, or if it's always the same thing. They say, well, elderly people, they don't want it. I'm not sure. If I know my mom, she's still quite digital then, but you could also reach them by physical mail. Okay, I said it was a mistake. Why was it a mistake? Because the communication culture is changing dramatically. And we realize letters are going down, but they also go down in the digital form. And the reason is that people are switching from formal, important communication to much more informal, but still important communication. So imagine a letter. It's very formal. There is, dear Mr. Stalder, blah, 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 blah. With kind regards, 2 signatures, both of them a vice president of the company, and written in blue with blue ink. So it gives this communication really a heavy formal importance, right? And if you are a lawyer, you don't use 90-gram paper, but you use 130-gram paper, which even feels more expensive. On the other side, we chat around. And now the pressure is coming that what we experience in our daily life, and let's say again, what I do with WhatsApp, I will also do want to do with corporate communication. And I'm at the same time in the board of directors of a Swiss bank, and for us, the huge horror is that our employees use WhatsApp. Of course, it is written that they are not allowed to do. But what do you do if your client sends you a WhatsApp and you simply answer on it? You already are trapped in the WhatsApp communication. And now there's a special irony. We have not forbidden WhatsApp because it was unsecure. Honestly, it's not true. It's quite secure. It's forbidden because it's end-to-end encrypted. But what is the reason that is for us a nightmare that's end-to-end encrypted? The reason is because it's in the device of the employee and not in the knowledge of the bank. Imagine one day a customer is coming and said, hey, you consulted me to buy a Tesla. That was a mistake. And we would say, oh, we never knew about that. But they would say, but it's your employee, so you're still somehow responsible. Well, then you can engage some lawyers to find a way out. But anyway, for us, this is a problem. And as a company, we don't want end-to-end encryption. We want company-to-end encryption. Because we need that information inside the organization for compliance reasons, for storing the information, for keeping track record. And that's why we said, okay, let's pay attention, especially to this topic. How do we deal on the corporate side, on government, and how do we deal on the individual side? And that's where we found Matrix as our, let's say, as the best solution with all the federation. I don't repeat that, you all know it, that's why you're here. And we said, okay, let's build this form or this system. So we said, on one side, there is a domain called ePost.ch, and this is the private offering for every citizen in our country. He gets for free the so-called ePost app, including the Matrix Messenger, and he gets his small office, like his small ERP system. He can do stuff I will show in 2 minutes, what he can do there. So that's one side of the connection. The second part is the SME environment. By the way, we call the whole stuff community because we think that as an individual, I'm part of different communities. Maybe I'm part of the community of the childcare organization where my childs are in. At the same time, I'm part of a community, it's a sports club. At my community as the community of my region where I live. A community with a doctor and maybe a specialist because of my health condition and so on. So we call it community because we think as an individual, I'm part of different communities over time. Then we realized, okay, the SME, they don't want to run huge and complex environments. That's why we offer it as a managed service on the cloud, that they can simply have their own, let's say, environment set up, including also their server and their identity management and so on. But then it came to the situation that large corporates would not do that. If you are a bank, you would not want to have your communication environment in the cloud. And here comes this federated approach that is brilliant, because for these corporations, we offer so-called on-site server, which is the ePost on-site server. And of course, there we offer the bridges to the, for example, WhatsApp environment, which leads to the result that you all know. The corporates, they want their own identity, they have their own, they want their own keys, they want to self-manage all that stuff, and they need a bridge infrastructure. On the other side, the SME, he doesn't care about all that stuff. He wants to have a fixed price per month to do that, and for the individual, he wants it for free. That's roughly what is the communication system all about. And talking that much, I would love to show you now how this somehow works in action. So let me get on this side my phone. This is the one over here. Okay. So sorry for that. Okay, now I need to connect again, that you can see whatever I see on my phone. Oh, yes, it's used. Let's put it off again. Now it's on. Now let's go to ePost. And when I open my mailbox, I, for example, can get a normal digital mail like this, whatever it is, report. I can also get, let's say, a contract, and if the system realizes it's a contract, I can simply digital sign it and send it back. And third example, if this is an invoice, it will realize it's an invoice. I can say, okay, let's pay it. It will connect me to my bank, and it will pay it through the open banking interface. Today, 70% of all Swiss banks are connected, so the chance is quite high that you are a customer of a bank that is that. But now let's switch on the other side. Let's say this is now the desktop of an SME. Let's say I want to talk to Renato. I want to tell him something about Matrix Conference 24. Hi all. Send. And of course, you will not be surprised that on the other side, I'm in the communication hub, I get an invitation, I accept it, and of course, nothing else, that I start chatting with this corporate or with this SME on the other side. So, hi too, I am in 4th floor. And of course, you would not be surprised that one moment later it's on there, and of course I can then say, okay, let me send you a document, and this is a standard functionality, nothing else, and I can exchange messages, documents, as you would expect it from any messenger. Now I told you about this branding. Of course, I can have the chat list and I can have the document list, but I can also go in here and let's say I'm chatting with my insurance company, and then everything that is in communication with that insurance company is a subset of, or you see it on the right side here. So I have all the documents I got from them in different orders, and I have all the chats. For example, maybe I was chatting about an insurance claim and I jump in again. So with this approach, we also try to convince the corporates to integrate, even if they already have set up their, let's say, proprietary environments into a ePost communication platform. And very often when I'm speaking to them and they say, well, Renato, you know, we invested so many millions in our own environment, we did not wait on you. Then I always make the following trick. Okay, I understood you're able to communicate to your customers through your own environment. And I say, yes. And then I say, okay, what about your not yet customers? And then big eyes and say, okay. So with this, you can reach anybody Also, the people that are not yet customer of your company. And then they start thinking and say, okay, yes, maybe I'm a little bit too much focused on just my world. Maybe there is a bigger world out there, and maybe I should also reach out to them. And then they most likely say, okay, let's start a small project. We want to try it out and so on. And they are in the trap because the solution at the end is so good that they will stay. Okay, what is the next step? The next step is that we believe that we still need also secure email. You could argue that, well, okay, with like a protocol like Matrix, you could get already in the next world, you don't need email anymore. And in some sort, I think it's true, but I'm not convinced that the market is on that vision today. So that's why we will mix up secure email based on S/MIME technology, giving everybody a certificate to be able to communicate, make it hassle-free because it's too complex today, so make it simple, integrate it in an app, and so on, and mix it more and more with the chat. And that's why we talk already today about a unified inbox. As an end user, I don't care if it was an email going ping-pong or if it was a chat going ping-pong. And we want to have it like a unified communication approach where I don't care if it was a letter, it was a mail, or it was a chat. And that's the thing we are working right now. That's also why we invest very heavily in our own user experience, 2 topics to make it easy for the end user, and you see it in the color here, to make it in the color and in the look and feel of the sender, and not in the look and feel of the SwissPost. The SwissPost is just down here, this little yellow bar. Everybody will recognize because we patented even the color, so nobody can use it. Well, basically, that's the run-through. And now I'm happy to take maybe your questions. And I think I have 5 minutes left. Yeah.
Okay, so 5 minutes, 6 minutes for questions.
You offered to the SME that they can now get new customers, but how you prevent spam so that they...
Very good point. Well, this was a huge discussion. And this is the reason why we have an intermediate layer between, which we call it address book. And we only allow communication if you know from your counterpart one of 3 credentials. Either you need to know the postal address, which is unique that you can address somebody by the postal address. Maybe it's a little bit because of our history. You need an email address or a phone number. And you cannot do mass inquiry. So the API will prevent to just download a whole list. We have some mechanism that will limit you, sometimes too much limited, but you will restrict you by just communicate to somebody from a other channel you know. That's important.
Okay, more questions?
How do you handle the storage of encryption keys for Matrix? Matrix is an encrypted protocol, and as far as I understood, you guys are using Matrix in an encrypted environment. So how are you handling just the keys?
Second good point. Okay. You heard it from the speech before that there's always a little bit of trade-off between device encrypted by users who know what they do, and we deal with the whole population, which means that 99.7% of the users, they don't know what they do. But it's not because they are dumb, it's because they are just not based on this. And we really store the encryption key on the server. And we were very happy to hear this morning that because we are in big trouble also with sometimes messages not decrypted anymore. And we are really eager to have this session stored on the server, even if it's from a security point of view, you could question that, but from a usability point of view, it's very important. We today have the problem that if you log out to all sessions, you would not get the messages anymore and you wouldn't be able to decrypt. And even if for us as technical people, not me, but you, we understand what is happening. The end user has he will never accept that he has, I cannot read these messages. And that's why we had a lot of discussions also at lunch, at dinner, about that topic. You can have a maximum security, but sometimes you have to step one step back to make it still handleable for normal people. And that's where we are trying to find the right line. So that's basically the answer to your question.
And stored in plain text, right?
Pardon me?
In plain text.
Yeah. But in encrypted form. So we really make sure that the device-to-server communication is encrypted. But still, it's on the server.
Questions? If there's no question one, would I be able to join with the regular Element Messenger, or is it so specific that I can only use the ePost app?
Technically you could, but also we have, for the moment, we have like a governance where what we define what we allow and what we do not allow. But we tried, or really we are that clean that you could connect with the Element Messenger to that part of the ePost system, but not to the other parts.
Is this open source? Because we're actually looking into building something similar for the German public administration, and if
So you mean the ePost part?
yeah, the ePost part.
Yeah, parts of it are open source, parts of it are not. So, but let's talk together. Where
Sure,
we can work together? So,
Okay, no more questions. In this case, thank you very much, Renato, for your presentation.
thank you very much.